All right, if you're starting this video and you have not watched the PowerPoint, stop and look through the PowerPoint. It's got a lot of vocabulary that you've got to be familiar with, and you're not going to understand what I'm talking about unless you've read through them. Now, I told you guys at the end of the year, I always go over the part of the curriculum that they left out that you're going to have to need to know how to do for some of your geometry problems. You'll get a review of this in Algebra 2, and well, actually more of a review, a little bit more in depth. But I always like ending the year with this stuff because it's kind of fun. All right, so first thing we're going to look at is, are these problems that I'm giving you, are they a monomial, which means one term, binomial, 2 terms, or trinomial, 3 terms? All right, so 2x squared plus 4. There's a term, there's a term. So this is a binomial, okay? 6x to the 4th minus 3x plus 6. 1, 2, 3 terms, so that would be a trinomial. Okay, ooh, 1 term, so that is a monomial. Okay, let's go up. What about 7? That is a monomial. A number, you've all been dealing with monomials your whole life and you don't realize that's what they're actually called. All right, 5 plus 8xy to the 3rd. Good, that's a binomial. And what about, 6x squared plus 4x minus 9y. 1, 2, 3. 3 terms, so that is a trinomial. Okay. All right, and the next thing, let's look at ascending and descending order. Ascending and descending order is based on the exponents. Ascending means we're going to line up our exponents from the smallest to the biggest, and descending means we're going to line them up from the biggest exponent to the smallest exponent. So all you've got to do is you have to look at all the bases that have exponents, and then we've got to put them in order. This is x. Well, this actually has a 1 on it. X to the 6th, x to the 2nd, x to the 3rd, and then this doesn't have an x. Well, I always do this to help me keep things in order, not get confused. Since this doesn't have an x, it has x to the 0. Remember, x to the 0 is 1. 1 times negative 7 is negative 7, so it's not going to change it, but it helps you organize things in ascending to descending. So we're going to do ascending for this one, okay? Ascending for this one. So what we need to do is we need to look at the smallest x, which is this one. So 3x is going to go first. Then you look at the next biggest x, which is a 2. You got to bring the whole term, which means including the sign. So you have negative 4x to the 2nd. If you want to, cross them out when you're done. And then I have x to 6. I have x to the 3rd. Bring the sign in front of it. So that's plus 9x to the 3rd. Done with that one. Oh, Miss Evans messed up. Where was this supposed to go? That was supposed to go out front. I don't have y'all yelling at me. So actually, see, that's why you're supposed to do it that way. So this should be just negative 7. You don't have to put the x to the 0. Then we have the plus 3x. Then we have the minus 4x to the 2nd. And then we have the 9x to the 3rd. And then what x is last? The one with the 6. So that's plus x to the 6th. Okay? All right, so let's look at the second example. Do they all have y's on them? No. So let's give this a y to the 0. Now, since we did ascending for the first one, let's do descending for this one. So that means we're going to go from highest to lowest. So let's look at the y's. I have a 3, I have a 0, I have a 1, I have a 4, and I have a 2. Well, the one that's the highest is the 4. So I'm going to bring this term and put it first, which is 10y to the 4th. Again, if you want to cross them out, you're done. That's fine. Then the y to the 3rd is the 2nd. There's no sign in front of it, but I know that's a positive 5y to the 3rd. Okay. Then do I have any 2's? Yep, I got a 2. So this whole thing, I bring down negative 6y to the 2nd. And then I have the y to the 1, which is that plus 4y. And then I have that negative 6y to the 0, but we're not going to put the y to the 0. So that would be negative 6. Okay, so that's ascending, descending order when you have one exponent. Now one base. Sorry, not exponent. All right, now what happens if I do this? What happens if I give you a polynomial that has multiple bases? So what it's going to do is it'll tell you what order to put it in terms of what letter. So in this sense, we're going to do it in terms of x. And let's do the first one, like the first example, last one. Let's do ascending on this one, and then we'll do descending on the other one. So we're only looking at the x. So let's make sure that they all have x's. Okay, they do have x's. Okay. So let's make this easier because we don't need to get it. Let's just do y to the, I messed up. Let's change this to the 5. Okay, and then give 6x 5. I thought that was a 2 when I copied over as 5. All right, so here we go. We have x to the second, x to the third, x to the fourth, and x to the fifth. All right, so I want it in ascending order. And look, Miss Evans was dumb enough that she went ahead and put it in ascending order. So this is actually good. It doesn't matter about the y's. All that matters is in terms of the x. So this would actually stay as it is. All right, so let's look at a descending one, okay, in terms of x. Here's a 2, here's a 5, and here's a 4. So remember, descending is you start from highest to lowest. So highest is the 5, so I'm going to start with 9x to the 5th, y to the 4th. Get rid of that one. And then I have x to the 4th, so I bring down minus 6x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Get rid of that one, and then that's a positive 12, x to the 2nd, y to the 5th. Okay. Let me do another one in terms of, let's say, y, just because I completely screwed up that first one. All right, so let's do in terms of y. Just pretend like I'm at the whiteboard and I'm making all this stuff up like I usually do. All right, so let's say we have 6xy to the 4th plus 3xy to the 2nd minus 4x to the 5th, y to the 6th plus 6xy. Okay. All right, so if we're looking at it in terms of y, then all you have to do is look at the y. Let's do ascending on this one as well. Okay, so y, we have a 4, we have a 2, we have a 6, and what is this? That's a 1. So ascending would be smallest to highest. So I would start off with the 6xy to the first. I cross that out. Next y is the second one. So plus 3xy to the second. And then y to the 4th would be the next one. So I have plus 6xy to the 4th. And then I'm going to have minus 4x to the 5th, y to the 6th. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about degrees of a polynomial. Now, degrees of a polynomial, if you looked at the PowerPoint, it just basically is the highest sum or the highest exponent if it's just one base, or the highest sum of the exponents if it's multiple bases. So looking at number 1, if we all have one base with the exponent x, there's all x's. This would be x to the 3rd, x to the 2nd. This is x to the 1. We know that's x to the 0, but it doesn't matter. So the degree is the highest. Well, the highest is 3. So my degree of this polynomial is 3. All right, so let's look at this one. We only have one variable with exponents. Which one's the highest? 4. So my degree of that polynomial is 4. All right, let's jump to this one. They all have just y. Which one is the highest exponent? The 6. So my degree of my polynomial is 6. So when it's just one base or one variable, it's really easy. Now, let's look at when there's multiple. Let's say we have two, like we have x and y. First thing I want you to do is I want you to go and put a 1 every place that there is no exponent. Okay. Now, when you have multiple bases, what you're going to do is you're going to add the exponents together. So like 4 and 1, that's 5. 5 and 3, that's 8. Okay. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 5 plus 4 is 9. Well, which one of those numbers is biggest? 5, 8, 2, or 9? Well, the 9. So 9 would be your degree. Okay, let's look at the bottom. Again, I have multiple bases. That's y to the 6th. Okay, all right, so put a 1 on everything that doesn't have an exponent so you don't forget to add. And then we're going to add the exponents together. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. 1 plus 9 is 10. And 4 plus 6 is 10. Which one's the highest? 12. So the degree of that polynomial is 12. Okay, that's all we're going to look at today. All I need you to do after you've watched this video and done the PowerPoint, go and Diverge and take this really quick 5-problem quiz or test, and I'll take it as a grade, and that's it for today. And Wednesday we will start into multiplying polynomials, which is the FOIL method. You might have heard me talk about that, the first, outer, inner, last. All right, see you Wednesday.